in any second now. Still waiting. Okay, live stream.
Okay. Good afternoon, good late afternoon to everyone. We have two bills on our agenda. The first one we're going to take up is Delegate Corman's bill, House Bill 161. Kristen, could you summarize what the bill does and discuss the proposed amendments from the sponsor?
Sure, sorry, I had the other one up first. So this bill terminates the Northeast Maryland Waste Disposal Authority's bond authority beginning June 1, 2023. It's requiring the Department of Legislative Services to evaluate the entity, and it's also requiring the Maryland Environmental Services to also review basically hold on, I have the wrong stuff up. I have House Bill 30 up. I emailed a reprint copy of that included the three amendments that Delegate Corman was going to include. Am I able to share my screen?
Margie, can
I think I have.
Sorry, yes, you should be able to.
I see it. It's green.
Okay.
Hold on, give me 1 second.
Sorry that we're going out of order.
It's no problem. I just, had what I had up. Okay. I think we got it.
There you go.
All right. Well, I'm not sure how helpful this is going to be going through the amendments, but okay, so the sponsor submitted three amendments, and one of the amendments is removing the Maryland Clean Energy Center from the bill. Essentially, the sponsor indicated that the Maryland Environmental Service can fill the role that was outlined in the bill for the Clean Energy Center. So we have amendments taking that out of the preamble, and throughout the bill, as we scroll through, you'll also see that the references to the Clean Energy Center are being stricken from the bill. As I started off, the bill prohibits the authority from issuing bonds as of June 1, 2023. And so the first study piece is requiring the Department of Legislative Services to conduct an evaluation, and it lists what the review should include. You can see those items there. I can read them. You can take a minute to read them yourself, whatever's preferred. It's basically just looking at, its governing statutes, how it operates, whether another entity, and including Maryland Environmental Service, is better able to perform the duties and functions of the authority, whether there's any legislative recommendations. And then there's a reporting requirement that Department of Legislative Services will report to certain committees in the General Assembly on the results of that evaluation. And then Section 3 would have the Maryland Environmental Service review the functions, employees, contracts under the Northeast, or under the authority. And it would analyze whether MES would be able to assume a portion or all of the functions, the employees. Delegate Corman submitted amendments, two additional amendments that are under new section 4 and new section 5. One that would indicate that an entity that assumes a portion or all of the functions, employees, active contracts of the authority to establish a system for maintaining stakeholder engagement. Also would require that the Maryland Environmental Service temporarily assume all of the functions, current employees, and active contracts of the authority during any merger of the authority with another entity, and maintain the assumption of the functions, current employees, and active contracts of the authority until the entity with which the authority merges is prepared and ready to assume those functions, current employees, and active contracts.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Kristen. Are there any questions about the bill or the proposed amendments? I do want to note that Jeff Tosi from Maryland Environmental Services here can answer questions about what MES's role under the bill would be. So Delegate Ruth.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And what would be the impact of suspending the bond issuing authority, or is there any impact of that?
Let me take a try at answering that, and maybe Kristen, if you can confirm whether I'm right or wrong. I think it just means that they can't issue any new bonds, just in the event that that the recommendation is to merge the authority into, say, MES. And so the thought was, well, while this sunset review is happening, we don't want the authority to issue new bonds. However, I think with the amended language, it makes clear that it doesn't impair the bonds that are currently outstanding. It shouldn't have an impact on those. Kristen, did I get it right?
Yeah, and according to Delegate McCormick's testimony, he indicated that it currently has no bonds outstanding, and that they had no intention of issuing any new bonds. In a recent letter that they sent to the Spending Affordability Committee. So the idea is that it's not going to impact.
So essentially, while this sunset review is going on, the authority would continue to operate as usual. Is that
correct?
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions for anyone about the bill or the amendments? Okay. Does anyone want to make a motion on the amendments?
Move the amendments. Second.
Okay. All those in favor of the amendments say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so the bill as amended.
Move the bill as amended.
And second?
Second.
Okay, thank you. Any remaining questions about the bill as amended? Okay, well then, all those in favor of the bill as amended say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, thank you. Bill as amended passes. Okay, so thank you. Thank you to everyone on House Bill 161. Next, we'll take up House Bill 30, and since that's my bill, I'll do a summary of it. This has some fixes to a bill that we passed last year, House Bill 318, which establishes a professional licensing board for the septic industry. And so what happened was, as MDE was working on implementing the bill, because it does need to get the MDE does need to get the board up and running by mid-2023. I forget the exact date. But it identified basically some glitches in the bill that need to be from last year that needed to be fixed. And so that's what House Bill 30 seeks to do. For example, one of the licenses that is required is a property transfer license. So it makes clear when that license is required, clarifies that where that application fees are paid into the fund, the wastewater professionals fund that was established under last year's bill, specifies the fund into which any penalty is paid, makes a change to the total board membership into the number, and also with respect to the geographic representation to make it a little bit easier to get the volunteer members of the board based on geography. It substitutes language instead of mandating one from each of 5 regions of the state. says that the individual shall be representative of all geographic regions of the state. And this is also an emergency bill because so that there's no delay in MDE's work to implement last year's legislation. So that's what the bill does. Any questions about the bill?
Move favorable?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
if I may,
Sure,
this is
Delegate Ira.
licensing the inspectors when the property transfer.
that's right. That's one of the,
It's not doing anything to the people that are pumping or anything like that, or
well, it did establish licensing requirements for a variety of septic related professionals. That's what last year's bill did. This bill doesn't do anything with respect to who's covered by last year's bill, except to clarify when a property transfer license is required.
well, I was for that part of it, but I don't care for the other parts, but
Okay,
okay.
sure, fair enough.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? Let's see, let me just switch. Okay, I think there is Delegate Love. I think you made the motion. In favor of the bill. Is
I
there a
second. I second.
Okay, thank you. Any further questions about the bill? All right, all those in favor of the bill say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
No,
Okay. Bill passes. And that is the extent of our agenda for today. Thank you. We made good time, I think about 10, 15 minutes. And there are, in case you have a question about, or maybe wondering why our agenda was limited to these two bills, is that even if we've heard bills that passed last year, if they have a fiscal note that's $100,000 or more, the subcommittee can't consider them until they've been approved by committee leadership. So that's why we've got just these two bills right now. We'll certainly have more next week. That any other questions?
Can I just say one thing on the fiscal limit?
Sure.
And this might have been implicit, but, and then there'd be one extra step that the subcommittee does want to move a bill that does have a fiscal note that exceeds the fiscal limit. The next step, then it would have to go through appropriations for approval before we could send it out to the full committee,
Good point. Thank you.
just so that doesn't come as a surprise.
Sure. Sure. Okay. All right. Well, we are done. Thank you. And see you next week.
thank you, Mr.